Welcome back to Anaheim. Canucks getting set to conclude this extremely difficult 4-game road trip here against the Ducks. Don't forget to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Renee Wilson of Delta could win $1 million. Shop and swipe at Safeway. You could be our next lucky winner. In case you forgot, the last time these two teams met, it happened in April 25th, and in that game, Jonas Hiller came up big for his club late. Made 28 saves in the hockey game, 19 of those in the third period, as the Ducks won that game 3-1 over the Canucks. All right, as mentioned, Shorthouse and Garrett with the call. Let's go to them now.
Murph, thanks. It's the fourth of a 4-game road trip. It's also the fourth back-to-back for the Canucks, John. And when it's back-to-back, it's
Eddie Lack.
It is Eddie Lack. One of the few bright spots for the Canucks last night. Stopped 13 of 14 in relief of Roberto Luongo.
And he didn't get rattled. When the first one went by him, the first shot after he relieved Roberto Luongo went in. After that, he was absolutely great. And to me, that's something. You're a young goaltender, experience-wise in the NHL. You go in and it goes in. As soon as you get there, sometimes you get a little frustrated, but no, he wasn't. He was in great position all night long, and now he gets to play this game.
Well, we're told this is it for Teemu Selanne, that this will be his final season, and pretty bad injury for him, but he's back in the lineup.
Well, it's amazing. He's got 3 or 4 plates in his mouth, and they thought they'd have to do surgery. They thought he was going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks, and instead he just missed 3 games. He wants this last season to be a memorable one. And I think Teemu Selanne, he's getting back-to-back games off once in a while from Bruce Boudreau, but he still can contribute offensively for the Ducks.
Maybe not quite ready to eat a big steak at his new restaurant in Laguna, but he's in the lineup and playing for Anaheim. Let's check out the starting goalies, brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. 5th appearance of the season for 25-year-old Eddie Lack. As mentioned, one of the few bright spots last night in the 5-1 loss to the Kings. And for the Ducks, 24-year-old Frederik Andersen from Denmark. What a start to his NHL career. A perfect 5-0 out of the gates. Ryan Getzlaf not in the lineup. Taking his place, at least to start, between Corey Perry and Dustin Penner will be Matthew Perreault, the former Washington Capital. And he'll start this hockey game at center between those two, up against Mike Santorelli and his line mates Chris Higgins and Alex Burrows. Such a great start to the game last night in Los Angeles, save for that little final detail of finish. And they'll hope to have a similar start, but with the red light being turned on here in Anaheim. First of 5 meetings between these two. And the end of the road for the Canucks, who hope to get back to Vancouver with a winning record. They're 1-1-1 through 3. Santorelli lost his helmet right off the faceoff, and he heads to the bench. I don't know if he's been injured on the play, but over the boards to replace him is Henrik Sedin as the Canucks work the puck in. Burrows falls down in the corner. Ducks send it up the near side. Henrik Sedin trying to hold the puck in for Vancouver, but the Ducks get it out to center. Shot back in by Jason Garrison. 30 seconds in. Brian Allen on the ice for Anaheim, wearing number 55. Getting a lot of praise from Bruce Boudreau early in this season, but I think most of the Ducks are. The way they've been going to start the year, leading the NHL in points, and they're on to the attack in the Vancouver zone. Ben Lovejoy to the left point. Cam Fowler back to Lovejoy. Down for Perreault, whiffed on a one-time attempt. And the puck is intercepted by Daniel Sedin, who takes it back behind the Vancouver goal and starts out. Alex Edler takes the pass on the left wing, bounces one in on Andersen, who steered it wide of the goal. Now he grabs the puck for a whistle. 67 seconds into the game.
Well, the Ducks, unblemished record at home. They play very aggressively, especially Corey Perry. Everybody knows what he's like. So here comes Corey Perry with the left hand, just reaches around and takes Mike Santorelli's helmet off. When's the last time that Henrik Sedin's line didn't start a game? You do all the games. And I'm trying to think back, because that was one of John Tortorella's things. He started the big line every game to try and set the tone.
I'm not sure. It might have been last night.
No, it wasn't last night, because I remember Murph and I watching that game, and the Sedins did start that one.
Lucas Spiza with the puck. Sends it ahead. Ducks Nick Bonino plays it into the Vancouver zone. Eddie Lack out to play it. Look out. Sneaking in from behind was Teemu Selanne, but the Canucks get the puck to Zach Kassian. He finds Dan Hamhuis, who has goals in 3 of his last 4 games. Had the only tally for the Canucks, got them to within 1 against the Kings, but That lead lasted just over a minute before Mike Richards restored the 2-goal advantage, and LA took it home from there. Hand use hit by Emerson Edom as he played the puck in. Here's Darren Archibald. Trying to find some room in the corner. Passes behind the net. Canucks tried to one-touch it to Kevin Bieksa on the left wing. But the pass from Jeremy Welsh was taken away. Now Welsh takes a lead feed at center. Works the puck to Archibald. He cuts down the right side. Nice pass. Chance in front. Delpy on the backhand, and he slid it just wide. Good burst there from Zach Delpy, looking for his first as a Canuck. Archibald gets the puck in the right wing corner. Welsh trying to make something happen. His line mates are changing in the neutral zone.
Lots of Canuck fans here. They started the Go Canuck Go chant, and now the Ducks fans trying to drown them out.
Interesting to see that line combination that was out a moment ago for Vancouver. A little different from what we saw last night. We'll keep an eye on it as the Ducks' Perreault moves in, checked by Edler. And the puck thrown forward by Burrows, hoping to find Higgins, but that'll be an icing call against Vancouver.
Zach Delpy shaking his head. A good play by Archibald to Delpy, and he's got a space, so he goes to the net hard, protects the puck, but then on the backhand just doesn't drag it back towards the net. Slid it wide.
Has 5 career goals, still looking for his first as a Canuck. Face-off in the Vancouver zone. In to take it is Burrows. After Sandarelli was waved out, Burrows wins it back to Jason Garrison. Here's a lead pass. Burrows leads for Higgins. Throws one on goal off the stick of Anderson into the corner. Puck held in by Garrison. Loose behind the Anaheim goal. Picked up by the youngster Hampus Lindholm. And we have a Vancouver penalty coming up here. Tell you about it in a sec.
Get an oil change by December 15th and get a free gift. Michelin Hybrid Wiper Blades. Get your coupon at MrLube.com.
It's a Vancouver penalty to Jason Garrison for high sticking.
Well, you're expecting the hit, and you get in a position to protect yourself. Okay, he's expecting the hit, but he's got his stick up. He's trying to protect himself, and it's Corey Perry. You know, Perry's going to finish his check, and Jason Garrison goes off for high sticking.
Ducks power play, not ranked very high in the NHL standings, but 4 for its last 6 in the last 2 games. Sedin's moving in as they start the penalty kill for Vancouver. Ducks come up with the puck and start it out to center. Solani pass to Bonino. And nobody at the blue line. Puck slides all the way down the ice.
Ryan Getzlaf's been a big part of that power play of late. 3 points in the last 2 games with the man advantage. 2 power play goals. Canucks
penalty killing. Leapfrog Washington and is ranked number 1 in the NHL now. Canucks clicking in at 89.1%. Minute 15 to go in the penalty to Garrison. Kessler's up front with Higgins. Edler on defense with Kevin Bieksa. Cam Fowler rushes the puck to center. Wristed in behind the Vancouver goal. Lack was able to slow it. And Edler worked the puck to Bieksa, who got a fortuitous bounce from the corner boards and got the puck out. Edler took a pretty stiff check making that play. Now he throws one. And the Canucks get the puck out again after Edler stepped into Patrick Maroon. Lindholm out with the puck, 19-year-old. Edler had him lined up. Lindholm got out of the way. Canucks get the puck to the line, held in by Perreault. On to the left side, Lindholm. Cross, chance here. Unable to pull the trigger was Kyle Palmieri. Sandarelli at the other end. Pass was intercepted, but the Ducks iced the puck. And with 21 seconds to go in the Anaheim power play, there'll be a face-off in the Ducks zone.
Kyle Palmieri looked up towards the net when he went to take his wrist shot and just fanned on it. John Tortorella looking on. His team got it off to a good start in Los Angeles and just couldn't beat Jonathan Quick. And then once the Kings started to score, it really went south in a hurry.
Face-off win for Vancouver. Daniel Sedin kills some extra seconds before sliding the puck in behind the Anaheim goal. Now Daniel after the puck at center, he's checked. And the Ducks bring it in. Lindholm onto the left side. Cogliano with a quick shot. Lack stopped it on the short side. And the only shot there that Lack has faced, he was able to steer away. Canucks back to full strength. They've now killed off 22 power plays in a row. Tough to improve on 89.1%, but they will fractionally with that job. And here comes Vancouver on the offensive. Ryan Kesler gets around Ben Lovejoy. Kesler along the end boards. Daniel Sedin tried to find Henrik Sedin. Fans react as Kesler went down, and here come the Ducks. 4 of them through center. That was broken up. Nice play by Bieksa to force Anaheim offside.
People were talking about the last trip the Canucks were on and what a great record they had, that 5-1-1. But then they said, oh, it's bad teams, it's bad teams. Well, look at the teams they're playing against now in that Pacific Division. You make the little 4-game run in a week and you're playing against the elite in the league.
Kings are the only team that lost in regulation heading into their meeting with Vancouver, and they have emerged victorious. Anaheim yet to lose. And Anderson covers the puck for a face-off. So we are seeing a little line juggle here with Richardson playing with Sestito and Castian for John Tortorella. And earlier we saw Welsh and Dalby together as they've been, but with a different winger.
The penalty kill messes up the lines a little bit, but you're right.
It was Archibald playing with those two. Notice how I talked around that?
Yes, you did.
Who it was?
Yes.
Getting that age. Burrows against Palmieri on this face-off. Higgins gets the puck, tries to throw it on goal. That hit Burrows in the back of the leg. Emerson Edom under pressure on the far side. Santorelli digs the puck free, flips it in behind the goal, picked up by Francois Beauchemin. He flips it out. Bieksa knocked that out of midair. Santorelli passes the puck back to him. Now it's thrown ahead to Alex Burrows, who wrists it in. A little over 6 minutes into the first, no score. Canucks have outshot the Ducks 3-1. Ryan Stanton to the side of the goal. Higgins tried to knock that one down. Burrows gets the puck behind the net. Comes to Santorelli on the right wing. He bobbled it, but it's held in by Bieksa. Ducks get it ahead, and this time they'll skate it out to center. Edom played it off Bieksa and out of play for a whistle, and we'll take our first break from Honda Center in Anaheim. Canucks and the Ducks, Pacific rivals, scoreless in the first.
Tickets between November 4th and 25th to any November home game and be automatically entered to win 2 lower bowl tickets to the Canucks Bruins game December 14th, a player signed jersey, and a team signed stick. Plus, the Canucks will donate $5 for each ticket sold to Movember Canada, a charity that helps combat prostate cancer and mental health challenges. No mustache necessary. Go to Canucks.com/tickets for info.
There's a good-looking mustache.
Well-groomed.
Well-groomed. Almost a Fu Manchu.
Canucks controlling the puck. Pretty good on the face-offs to start the game. Won 5 of the first 7. Now the puck into the Anaheim zone. Sestito and Castian combined to throw checks on Brian Allen. Tanev trying to break up a play just inside his line. Solani played the puck to the near side. One-handed ahead by Dan Hamhuis. But the Ducks keep after the puck in the Vancouver zone. Richardson battles for it, works it ahead to Tom Sestito, who ices the puck, assuming that Spiza can win this race, and he will, for the face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Talked about the proficiency of the Canucks penalty killers, and winning face-offs is such a big part of that. Out comes Bruce Boudreau's big line.
Minus Ryan Getzlaf, who is a late scratch. Matthew Perreault taking his place on this line. Takes the face-off against Brad Richardson, but Perreault waved out.
The Twitter world thought that Getzlaf might have got hurt in the pregame skate before the Buffalo game, and he went out and got a hat trick in the first period.
First career hat trick for Ryan Getzlaf, who has 162 career goals. 14 times previous had registered 2 goal games. But known more for the setups than the finish, with the career high in goals being 25.
Well, he and Corey Perry have had such a great combination for so many years.
Here's Perry trying to move in. That puck hit him in the skate. Perreault follows up to wrist it in the Vancouver zone. Garrison reverses for Hamhuis. He let the puck come around to Sestito. Canucks would like to get a change here, although Henrik Sedin and Ryan Kesler have been able to come on. Sestito the only one who hasn't been able to change. Hamhuis under pressure from Perreault. They'll try the other side. Garrison up the middle to Henrik Sedin. He missed the pass. Ducks try to take advantage. Here's a chance for Perry. Stopped by Lack. Puck clear to the side. Lovejoy holds it in. Into the corner. Broken up by Garrison. And he'll skate the puck forward for Vancouver, allowing Sestito to get to the bench. He risks it deep into the Anaheim zone. Winnick trying to get it out. Daniel Sedin's there to check him. Into the corner for Henrik Sedin. Leaves for Ryan Kessler. Kessler round the net. Being worked over in the near corner by Winnick. In for the puck is Henrik Sedin. Behind the net to Daniel Sedin. Daniel faces the front, trying to find someone to pass to. Now leaves on the end boards. Kessler ties up Fowler. And that allows the Canucks to retake control of the puck. Henrik Sedin behind the net. Turns and tries to center. Kessler takes a whack at the puck. It winds up on the stick of Lovejoy, and he'll send it down. And it'll just be enough for icing, I think. Yes, Brad Lazarowicz blows the whistle, and a face-off upcoming in the Anaheim zone.
Eddie Lack with a good save early in this game on Corey Perry. A very aggressive move by Eddie Lack as Henrik misses that pass up the middle. Perry has a good chance on his forehand, and Eddie Lack top of the crease. Be as big as you can be.
Isn't that a slogan? There's a right pad save and a wraparound attempt by Burrows. He couldn't jam it home. Gets another chance and it went off the side of the net. Anderson was down and out, but Burrows couldn't sweep it into the goal. And now Stanton brought the puck back in from center. That's an offside whistle. A little late call there from Brian Murphy, but he gets it right. Great chance for Burrows.
Frederik Andersen's a big goalie too, as most goalies are now. He's 6'4", 230. He gets down and then reaches across, but he gets a lot of help.
Winnick.
Daniel Winnick coming across with his stick. I think that had a chance. Might have gone right through the crease from that angle.
Here comes Higgins with a nice shift. He's in on the left wing. Drags and shoots it wide. Similar start for this line to this game. Will they find some finish, which they couldn't in Los Angeles? Puck high in the air, gloved out by Bieksa. That's a hand pass as Higgins collects the puck at center. And the faceoff will be in the Vancouver zone.
Canucks can make the change if they want after that hand pass, and they do.
Be all that you can be. That's
yes,
the slogan. The Army.
That's it. Service day.
Love it when a tie-in comes together. Jeremy Welsh loses a draw in his own zone to Teemu Selanne. Beauchemin walks the line, tries a wrist shot, blocked by Garrison. Dalby passes behind his goal to Garrison. Ahead for Archibald. Beauchemin hit him hard. And the puck stays in the Vancouver zone. Gloved down by Garrison. And this time they get it out, although Archibald missed the pass. Ducks try to turn it the other way. Intercepted by Welsh, who flips the puck into Anaheim territory. Nearing the halfway mark of the first, no score. Icing waved off as Garrison had a play on that puck. Lack will settle it for him behind the goal. Up the middle to center. Tipped forward by Daniel Sedin. And icing the call as Daniel apparently tipped it from his own side.
Check out PlayNow.com and bet live during the game. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Henrik is still arguing. He thought Daniel was on the red line when he tipped that one.
I did too. It just felt like something was off. Kessler gets the puck out. Here's Daniel Sedin. Poke check to the Anaheim blue line. Canucks will have to regroup in neutral ice. They get the puck on to the left side to Alex Edler. Devontae Smith-Pelly finished the check. Edler heads to the bench. Onto the ice to replace him is Dan Hamhuis. Ducks get the puck ahead. They've got three to center. Winnick to Cogliano trying to get around Tanev, who took the puck away. And Tanev gets it around. Hamhuis just unloads it. Gives it to Lovejoy. He tries a shot. That's off the right skate of Hamhuis and wide of the goal. Smith-Pelly from behind the net. Puck bounces off his stick. Tanev couldn't get it out. Cogliano turning on the left wing boards. Nice pass back, right point. Lovejoy wrist shot wide on purpose, hoping to get the ricochet in front. Puck winds up on Kessler's stick and he gets it out. Sedin's through center. Henrik to Daniel. Tries a wrist shot, gloved by Anderson. And he hangs on for the whistle with just over 9 minutes to go in the first. Canucks out shooting the Ducks 5-2, but the game is scoreless.
In honor of Pavel Bure, go retro this season with a skate jersey. Available now at all team store locations, including Gate 6 at Rogers Arena, on Robson Street between Butte and Thurlow, and at the Pro Shop at Renfrew and Hastings. Canucks Team Store, where the players shop.
Quite a few retro skate sweaters in attendance. Not many flying V's still around.
No. No one wants to remember that era, John.
Tell that to Harold Snebs. I dare you, even now, to tell that to
He wore
Harold.
so many different uniforms. I mean, he's been through a lot of eras.
Dave Williams. Tell that to Tiger.
Ducks offside, another whistle, just under 9 minutes to go in the first. Remind you to visit Ramada.ca for best rates and special offers. We don't do a game on Wednesday, so we need to send a shout out to the glue that holds the Sportsnet team together back in Vancouver, because Irfan Ghaffar turns 25.
Oh.
And he'd be there bugging us.
Yes.
Were there a game on Wednesday, but there isn't, because the Canucks don't play after this until Thursday. So happy birthday, Irf.
Sent us an interesting stat. The Sedins have 46 points in the last 16 games against the Ducks.
That's the sort of glue,
Yes.
you know. 8.5 to go in the first. Lead pass. Santorelli couldn't take it cleanly, but he'll track the puck down to the Anaheim zone. Santorelli, blue line feed. Edler with a drive. That blew the stick right out of Corey Perry's hands. He gathers it as the puck comes behind the net to Lindholm. Flips one forward off Bieksa right to Perry. In with a wrist shot, blocked by Edler, and Perry was knocked to the ice on that play. Santorelli able to one-hand the puck into the Anaheim zone. He'll head to the bench on a change with 8 minutes to go in a scoreless first. Brian Allen onto the tape, and the Ducks able to move in. A wrist shot by Perreault, juggled by Lack, but he's got it for the whistle.
That's something, watching Brian Allen early in his career, a pass like that was almost impossible for him to make. He's really improved. Here's Kevin Bieksa on Corey Perry. It's just an off-balance hit. It's not that hard a hit, but you make sure you finish your check when you're taking Corey Perry. There's a look at Brian Allen, who has really become a solid defensive defenseman.
That puck got by Ryan Stanton, but slid wide of the goal. Ducks send it in front. Solani tried to get a quick shot away, and Garrison challenged him immediately to tip it wide. Stanton tries the near side. Sestito lets that one go, and it'll be an icing call. And we'll see what Bruce Boudreau does here, although he already had some pretty good players out there. Teemu Selanne, no slouch when it comes to matchups.
Well, Teemu Selanne had to stop this one. It was a little bit behind him, and that gave Jason Garrison just enough time to get there and get his stick on it.
They'll drop the puck again, but first check to see if any time came off the clock. Seven and a half to go in the first. Unable to catch up with that one was Richardson. Ducks hold it in. Garrison tips the puck around. Kassian can't move it out. Fowler with a blast, and that went off Sestito. Stanton finds an open Zach Kassian. This time he's got room to move. Pass across. Sestito able to take it on the carom. Wrists the puck in behind the Anaheim goal. Anderson shoots it around. Kassian tried to hold it in. Went off his arm right to a Duck, and Palmieri moves the other way. There's a wrist shot. Big rebound and a post, and another shot wide. Couple of great chances there for the Anaheim Ducks. And it was Ricard Raquel who had the best one on the rebound. He put it off the pipe, I think. Jeremy Welsh at the other end, in concert with Darren Archibald. Smith Pelly trying to move the puck out. Here's a chance in front, and Dalpe didn't get anything on the backhand. A couple of chances. Now Welsh from a sharp angle, and he's denied by Anderson. This time the Ducks ice the puck after some good work there by the trio of Welsh, Dalpe, and Archibald.
Well, good scramble by Eddie Lack after the rebound. It didn't go to the corner. He wants this to the corner, and instead it's off his pad right out in front, but scramble back.
Oh, it hit a
that
body.
shot was going wide, hit a body.
I thought it hit the post, but it was the Canuck at the side.
Van Hamhuis.
Nothing to see here. Daniel Sedin tripped up. Play goes on. Puck comes to Kessler. He sends it across. It was behind Bieksa, who has to turn back. Now his pass is picked off by Winnick. Daniel Winnick outnumbered by Vancouver Sweaters. Henrik Sedin hit by Cogliano. Henrik goes back at him a little bit. Now Bieksa gets his money's worth. And the puck tied up for a whistle. We'll take a break. Still nothing to report from a scoring standpoint. Canucks and the Ducks in the finale of a 4-game sojourn.
Tonight, the bottom 6 forward group got to play. Tom Sestito 10 minutes and tried to make his presence felt.
Well, I thought there was a couple of Tom Sestito penalties that were called just because he's Tom Sestito. To me, that wasn't a penalty. And in physical play, that's part of his game. And he played a season high last night, and he's up to .330 already here in this period. So chances are he's on route to, again, a double-digit number for the game.
There's a long shot, didn't get through off the glove of Garrison. Smith-Pelly tried a wrist shot, that didn't get through either. Now Winnick, pressured by Edler, but keeps the puck. Able to tip it in behind the goal. Kessler hustles to it, chips it to the near side. Daniel Sedin throws it forward, and Henrik Sedin tips it out. Ducks turn it back the other way, and Smith-Pelly wants off on a change, so he backhands the puck in and heads to the bench. Garrison up for Burrows. He turns and goes rink wide to Higgins, who spins his way in with a wrist shot off the right pad of Anderson. Burrows after the puck on the far side. Henner backed off, so Burrows had some room to make a play. Now he's after the puck again in the corner, works it to Mike Santorelli in front for Burrows, but he couldn't reach the pass, and here comes Corey Perry. Perry to the Vancouver line, plays chip and chase, and he's got Tanev lined up. Perry had the puck momentarily, put it to the corner. Santorelli there to intercept, but he's checked by Perreault. To the blue line to Spiza. Long wrist shot blocked. Burrows will hustle to that puck. Alex Burrows trying to get loose, had his stick slashed out of his hands right in front of the ref, and it doesn't get called. You can tell there's a lot of Canuck fans here by the amount of booing going on.
Lucas Spiza reached around and hacked at Alex Burrows and didn't get called. Frederic Lecoyer was the referee standing right there and didn't make the call.
Cassian in with a backhand attempt. Stop. Stanton to the blue line, try to get it back to Cassian. That's off his stick and out of play. And John Tortorella might have a beef here with the officials.
No, especially with the breakaway opportunity. Now Spiza's flat-footed. Alex Burrows is going the other way, and with one hand on a stick, Spiza chops the stick out of Alex Burrows' hands.
Okay, it wasn't the most egregious slash I've ever seen.
No, it wasn't.
In real time, from way up here, it looked like he chopped down and knocked it out. Now Bieksa blasts one wide. Sestito, wrist one to the side, knocked down neatly by Richardson, but he couldn't tuck it in the side of the goal. Ducks try to move it out, and they do. Stanton at center takes control for Vancouver. Ryan Stanton, a long shoot in. That puck looked like it dipped a bit as Anderson made the save with the right pad. Here's Cassian turning in the corner. Zach Cassian cycles for Sestito. Behind the net, Richardson. Brad Richardson spinning away from Beauchemin. Got knocked down. Cassian's after the puck. Tried to pull it into the middle. Knocked away. And out with it is Patrick Maroon, feeding across to Lindholm. Hampus Lindholm with a nice burst and a better pass to Solani, who's stopped by Lack. Took it in the crest, and no rebound there for the Ducks.
Again, Andy Lack, top of the crease on Teemu Solani. A right-hand shot coming down the wing, outside the face-off dot, and no rebound.
The search continues for Canada's next sportscaster. Gillette drafted Fridays on Sportsnet 360. Aspiring broadcasters compete for a one-year contract at Sportsnet and a one-year contract to be a spokesperson for Gillette. Canucks control off the face-off in their zone. And a nifty play there by Dalpe to get it out into the middle. Welsh tried to find Archibald. These little line tweaks seem to have energized the bottom 6. Playing regular minutes here in the first period, and some effective minutes at the offensive end. Garrison with a shot, a stick save by Anderson. Spiza out with the puck. Welsh got a piece of him as Spiza backhanded it into the Vancouver zone. Now it's Raquel stepping into Garrison, who comes away with the puck. Had his stick lifted, and the Ducks get possession again, but Welsh able to take it away. And he fights off a check to skate the puck to center. It deflects to Archibald, who muscles it into the Anaheim zone.
Well, the 3 games in less than 4 days, this 5 o'clock start. John Tortorella using more of his bench.
Scoreless, a little over 2 minutes to go in the first. Chris Tanev sends that puck back into the Anaheim end. 10 shots for the Canucks, 5 for Anaheim. Best chance, maybe. Corey Perry for the Ducks, stopped by Eddie Lack. And Zach Dalpe had a good chance in close, but didn't get a good shot away on a deep to the backhand early in the game.
Alex Burrows, the wraparound.
That also a very good chance. Here's Tanev, wristing a long one, and that changed direction and went wide of the goal. Fowler plays the puck to the far side. Kessler hustles onto it for the Canucks. He takes a hit. Fowler winds up with the puck, tied up in the corner by Henrik Sedin. Now it's in front, picked up by Lovejoy. And the ex-Penguin makes a pass to Smith Pelly, who bounces the puck wide of the Vancouver goal. Here's Dan Hamhuis surveying from behind the Vancouver net. Pass to the side. Tanev slaps a long one to center. Canucks tried to tip it through Santorelli to Burrows, but it's broken up, and Perry flips the puck the other way. Canucks send it up the left wing, and here comes Chris Higgins. Higgins slides the puck into the Anaheim zone. Burrows after it. Higgins as well. In the final minute of the first, Canucks looking to open the scoring late. Bieksa tried to wrist one through. That deflects back to the blue line. Higgins dives to try to hold it in, but now it's played past Edler. And here come the Ducks, but Bieksa intercepts the pass across, and Vancouver has 4 through neutral ice. Bieksa in, finds Dalpe, back to Bieksa, stopped by Anderson, and got him with the glove.
Boy, what a great play by Kevin Bieksa to recognize his chance to go offensively. He made the defensive play just inside his own blue line, so he's got 3 Ducks trapped. And now he's off to the races. He knows it's a 4-on-3 at least. And here comes a third man back. It's really a 4-on-2, and Frederik Andersen with a good glove stop.
Based on the other players on the ice on that replay, that might have been Santorelli he played give and go with. In any event, a good chance, and now maybe another one for the Canucks. Puck shoveled to the crease by Henrik Sedin, and Andersen again able to find it and cover it for another whistle in the Ducks zone.
This period brought to you by the new 2014 Toyota Camry, our most remarkable Camry yet.
Ryan Kessler just couldn't get his stick on it. A nice little wraparound try, throw it to the crease, and Ryan Kessler is all tied up and just can't get any lumber on it. You can see his stick is tied up. He just kicked it towards the net.
24 seconds to go in the first period. Canucks win the draw. Stanton to Garrison, and that one was blocked by Raquel. Puck out to center. Ducks missed it. Canucks have a chance to move in again, but breaking it up is Fowler. Cleared to center, wristed forward by Stanton. That's taken by Winnick. 8 seconds to go as Cogliano moves in on the right wing. Cogliano through the slot and out the other side. Fowler on the left wing puts one in front off a Canucks stick and into the corner. The final play of the first period, and Eddie Lack faced but 5 Anaheim shots. The Canucks had 13 on Frederik Andersen, and these 2 young netminders both performed well. Zach Dalpe had a good chance for the Canucks, but scoreless through 1. We're going to have a feature on Chris Higgins and his involvement with the Special Olympics. We'll hear from Zach Dalpe along with Murph. And first up, though, Don and Gary Volk. It's scoreless here, Don, through 1.
All right, thanks so much, Shorty. Don Taylor with Gary Volk. We'll hear from Gary in a second. 0-0 Canucks and Ducks as the Canucks look to become the first NHL team this season to win a game in Anaheim. Alex Burrows with a couple of scoring opportunities in that opening period. Another was whacked away by Lucas Sbisa. We'll talk about that and a lot more. 0-0. Back with Gary in a bit.
Welcome back to the Duck Pond in Anaheim, formerly known as the Honda Center. No scoring to speak of, so let's take a look at some of the other numbers. Canucks out shooting the Ducks 13-5, just one power play in the period. Went to the home team, and Torts will be happy about the last stat there. 6 block shots to 4 in favor of Vancouver.
It's a holiday tomorrow. A lot of people not working, but if they were, they'd be huddled around the water cooler talking about John Garrett's Fresh Take. It's brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh.
Well, you wanted me to do this a couple of games ago. Fresh Take, look at these little passes. And you get the other team chasing, and you create some open ice. Henrik to Daniel to Ryan Kessler, back to Daniel. You know exactly where. And look at the other team. They're tired. You get them running around in their own zone, and eventually you're going to get a good chance or draw a penalty. And I think that's one of the things. That's Fresh Take, but the Sedins do it all the time.
Well, you look at their ice time on the year, we all know they've been in the top 4, or top 3 forwards anyway, but with the game on a hand last night the other way,
5-1 going into the third.
Drop
sure, and we talked about the third and fourth line. Their minutes last night, season high for them. Jason Garrison would be another one that you put in that category. Last night was his fewest minutes, just over 17 minutes for Jason Garrison last night, as in the third period he sat down for a while.
Sedins and Kessler out to start this period. So there you go. They didn't start the game, but they'll start the period for you, John.
Yes.
Winnick waved out. Cogliano moves in to take the draw against Henrik Sedin. Andrew Cogliano is next behind Bouwmeester and Sedin on the active Ironman list. Here's Daniel with a shot gloved by Anderson. Since coming into the NHL, Andrew Cogliano has not missed a single game, and this is his 477th in a row. Daniel's brother Henrik, second on the list, and he's playing his 649th in a row.
Henrik was a perfect 4-0 in the first period in the face-off circle. Call that a win. Scramble.
Here come the Ducks. Cogliano. Checked in the corner. Dan Hamhuis starts out with a pass to the side. Daniel Sedin, rink wide to Henrik. Kessler going to the net. Henrik finds Tanev, and he'll draw a penalty and then go hard into the end boards. And Tanev, as he usually does, bounces right up, and his team will go to the power play thanks to his hard charge up the middle.
Well, again, the defenseman reading the plays so well, and that was Chris Tanev, and this time it gets called. I know Gary Volk didn't have a problem with that play by Lucas Spiza in the first period, but this one, I think even Gary would call this one. Reach from behind, a little bit of a slew foot. Make sure that Chris Tanev wasn't going to do anything with it once he got there. Cam Fowler chasing that play.
First power play for the Canucks, who are clicking at just 10% on the season. And they go with the 4-forward set once again. Daniel Sedin back to Hamhuis. He shoots wide. Dan Hamhuis leaned into that one, looking for his 4th goal in 5 games. Here's Henrik Sedin back to Hamhuis. Hamhuis to Henrik. Being pressured by Winnick. Henrik finds Daniel. He turns, finds Kessler, takes a look, and had to settle the puck, allowing Bonino time to get over there and deflect the shot over the glass.
You and I were talking about that penalty that we thought should be called on Spiza on Alex Burrows because he had a breakaway.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was going to draw his stick just to draw a penalty when he had a clear-cut breakaway. And to me, you could have called it hooking, you could have called it slashing. There was a good reason to make the penalty call on that play.
They want more scoring in the game, don't they?
Yes.
Ducks had a chance to clear, and now on the second attempt, Cogliano gets the puck down the ice. Lack couldn't get to it on top of the goal line. So he retreats as the puck is sent around for Daniel Sedin. He reverses for Kessler, who starts out. Kessler checked by Cogliano. Drops the puck back to Hamhuis. Good hustle here from the Ducks. Emerson Edom, the other forward. Now Cogliano heads to the bench, replaced by Corey Perry. Kessler at center. On the backhand, moves in. Daniel Sedin a hair ahead, and the whistle blows on the offside. Canucks on the power play, and it's brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh.
Well, the second group comes out. Zach Kassian is on the right side.
Edler's out there. He risks the puck in. Perry went down under the check of Cassian. Play goes on. As the Ducks thought there could have been a penalty. Now Perry back on his feet, comes up with the puck and risks it all the way down the ice. And while skating up ice, he has a few words for the referee. Edler starts out with 40 seconds to go on the Vancouver power play. Up the left wing, Garrison. Wrist shot, stop, rebound, picked up by Lovejoy. And that went over the glass. Did it go straight out? No, it deflected. And in fact, they say it went off Santorelli, so the face-off will come outside the Anaheim blue line.
That's the thing with a young goaltender like Anderson. You don't know how he handles the puck, so the shoot-ins, you have to try him out. And right now the Canucks, their shoot-ins on the power play haven't been very good on this power play. And that's one of the areas where John Tortorella said, yes, at least our power play, the entries have been good.
The book on Anderson is that he's pretty well never going to leave the blue paint, isn't it?
That's it.
Here's Bieksa at the line. Garrison, one-timer. Left pad saved by Anderson. Fourth shot of the period for the Canucks. Ducks haven't had one yet. The shots in the game are 17-5 for Vancouver. But the game is scoreless, and there's 10 seconds to go in the Canuck power play. Bieksa bobbled the puck. Now he sends it in off the glass. Ducks missed it. Bieksa's in on goal. He dekes. Stopped by Anderson. Rebound put wide by Santorelli. Bieksa couldn't slide it through the pads, and then I think Santorelli hit the outside of the goal. Canucks with 5 shots on the power play. Couldn't convert. Ducks back to full strength. Here they are on the attack through the crease. And the puck picked up by Sestito, who clears it out. That'll be icing. And the Canucks wondering what it's going to take here to get one in behind Anderson after a couple of glorious chances late in the power play.
Well, and to get a power play goal, Kevin Bieksa in all by himself. Gets a bounce right here, gets a bounce off the glass, gets a bounce right here, and now he's in by himself. Nice little backhand move. It's off the inside of the pad. And I think that's Francois Beauchemin gets his stick on it before Santorelli can get it. Steers it out.
Now the Ducks throw one on goal. That was blocked. Zach Cassian starts out with the puck. 3 minutes into the second, no score. Anderson comes out to play that one and makes it good play to the side. Perreault gets the puck ahead. Solani moves it. Cuts across the blue line and skates down the right wing. Beautiful pass in front, and it's past the stick of Spiza. Looked like it was going to be right on the tape from Solani. Spiza gets it again at the left point. Wrist one towards the goal. That's blocked. And the Canucks break out to center. Alex Burrows to Brad Richardson. He slows and throws one towards the goal. Burrows gets the puck on the left wing. Wrist shot goes wide. Here's Richardson again. To the blue line, Tanev. Left point, Edler. Wrist shot blocked by Brian Allen, who collects the puck and throws it across his own zone for Lucas Spiza. Puck dumped ahead. Edler missed it. It's the third rink in a row we've seen a lot of bouncing pucks. San Jose and then Staples Center, where 9 Inch Nails played the night before. John Garrett there.
Our favorite band of all time.
Zach Dalpe steals the puck and moves in on the left wing. Dalpe in front. Jeremy Welsh with a chance to the backhand. Shoots. Stopped by Anderson. Ducks get the puck to center and Perry dumps it in, but from his own side of center, that's an icing call. After Jeremy Welsh had another look for his first career NHL goal.
It took a little longer to develop. Welsh there pulls to his backhand, and that gives Anderson time to come over and get that big body in front of it.
It's BMO Raptors basketball on Sportsnet. Toronto, Houston, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Raptors looked good yesterday. Big win.
Canucks looking good in this period. 7 shots to none over the Ducks, but nothing to show for it against the young goaltender who's 5-0 to start his career. Here's a pass to Penner. He's got a step in front, put wide. Glorious chance there for Lindholm, but on the backhand he missed the net. Canucks get the puck to center, and Daniel Sedin plays it in. Now a race for the puck at the other end. Winnick angled off by Hamhuis. Smith-Pelly to the line. Fowler, right point. Lovejoy with a shot. Loose puck at the side, and Smith-Pelly had to go through his feet. Fowler hustles down to hold the puck in. Fires back. Lovejoy again to the side. Cogliano. Lovejoy, one-timer. And I think Eddie Lack got his stick on that one. Ducks with their first pressure, really. Sustained pressure of the second period. But rather than, well, they've added one shot, so the Ducks We're credited with a shot there. Bieksa collects the puck. Turns in his own line. Banks it ahead to Dan Hamhuis. That almost looked like it went off the curved glass, which normally results in a whistle. Hey, Anderson had a little trouble with that one. But he's able to smother the puck and get a whistle.
Well, we talked about the Canucks defense getting involved. Young Hampus Lindholm comes right down the middle, and he has a great chance. On the backhand, he tries to go top corner, and it's off the toe. Hook stick is great for the forehands, but when you try and give it that backhand off the toe of his stick and wide.
Higgins comes up with a puck on the face-off. Tried a backhander that was off his stick and into the corner. Edom had the puck knocked away from him right to Anderson. He covers for another whistle, and we send it to Murph.
Breaking the action, we can tell you the Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game between the Canucks and Ducks is Nabob Coffee.
I know you didn't work the game last night, but that was one where you needed Nabob Coffee.
After about the halfway mark of the second.
Ducks bring the puck into the Vancouver zone. Palmieri. That winds up on the near side. Kell is there fighting for the puck for the Ducks. It comes free to Santorelli. Pass in tight to Stanton. Back to Santorelli. Ducks break it up at center. Beauchemin moves in. Centering feed and reaching out with Santorelli to knock it away from Edom, who's going to the net. Ducks keep after the puck. Comes free to Santorelli, who seems to be all over the ice on this shift. He finds Higgins into the middle. Tanev joining the rush. Chris Tanev with a wrist shot attempt. Santorelli following up. Couldn't control the puck. And Raquel fires a hard pass ahead to Emerson Edom. Pounded from behind by Zach Kassian. Edom fights off the check, sends the puck in, and hustles to the Anaheim bench. 6.5 minutes into the second. Still no score. As Tanev starts up with a pass that's picked off at center by Brian Allen. Ducks just onside. Allen with a wrist shot. Gloved by Eddie Lack. Just a couple of tests for him this period, but Lack has passed them both, and both he and Anderson have not given anything up.
For 3rd to 6th, you can be a part of the biggest fan road trip of the season. Book your place now to get access to exclusive pregame coaches talk, alumni meet and greet, private practice, and more. All transportation and accommodation included, along with lower bowl tickets to division rivals Kings and Ducks. Must book by November 30th. Visit Canucks.com for more info.
The kinesiology students from UBC are here and having a good time.
There's a long shot on Eddie Lack, and he was able to slide to his right on his knees to smother that one. Were you guys out partying last night?
No. Canucks have done a nice job on the faceoffs, but they lose this one cleanly.
Ooh, tipped.
And it's tipped right in front of Eddie Lack, but he's able to make that save. Nick Bonino off his shin pad.
8th shot for the Ducks. Canucks have had 21. It's kind of reminiscent of the way things went in that category of the San Jose game. But no pucks have found the net. Here's Bonino. Back to Spiza. Slap shot. That went off the stick of Richardson and wide. Spiza again sends one. Oh, that hits Solani. He's all right. And Richardson gets the puck out. Kessler's after to the Anaheim line. Bounced over his stick. Ducks get it out. Taken by Brad Richardson. Passes up for Kassian, who circles back and then feeds Chris Tanev, who sends the puck into the Anaheim zone. Richardson to Kassian, tried to cut inside, and Bonino stripped the puck away and flips it out. Could be icing, and it is, with Edler a half step ahead of Perry. Fans not too enamored with that call.
Well, we talked about Teemu Solani, and you can see his teeth aren't matching there, and active leaders against the Canucks because he played in the West for so many years. Big numbers. There's 6 game-winning goals.
Anderson stops a sharp angle shot from Santorelli. Burrows pokes the puck to the far side. Perry sends it to the near boards. And Ducks try to move it out. Spiza in a battle for the puck with Santorelli. That's a lot of points against Vancouver for Solani. Amazingly, that's only the 4th most in terms of what he has against certain teams. As the puck is centered, unable to tip it in front was Corey Perry. Slaney with more points than that against the Kings, the Sharks, and the Oilers. Here's a shot wide by Higgins as he dashed in off the left wing. Lindholm finds Beauchemin. Ahead to Perry, and now Beauchemin joins the rush. Perry, Lindholm. Burnham is pinner to Lindholm and tried to find Perry. Now Beauchemin at the blue line with room. Slap shot stopped by Lack. Doesn't know where it is. It's behind him and in. Trapped in by Corey Perry. He got his stick on it just before it crossed the goal line. Otherwise, I'm not sure if it would have counted.
They're talking about it now because after he gloved it, did it go in first?
I don't think it did. I think he got his stick on it just before it crossed the line, but they'll have a look.
And Frederic Lacroix is there again. Corey Perry goes to the net hard. Is right beside the post. Shot comes through. He takes a hit. It's off Eddie Lack, off his shoulder.
Or his head.
And then, you're right.
Did he head it?
It's off Eddie Lack's shoulder. And then it doesn't go in until Corey Perry gets his stick on it. And I think that's going to be a good goal.
I think Perry headed it off the post. And then got the stick in there. And it's going to be another occasion where the Vancouver Canucks give up the first goal.
Here's the shot. Eddie Lack didn't see it. It's tipped. It's off his shoulder. Now it is Corey Perry heads it towards the net. It doesn't go in off his head. Goes right along the goal line. And that's why I think it's going to count, John. I think you were right. Your original call that he gets a stick on it before it goes across the line.
8.5 minutes into the second period. The Ducks count the first goal, and it's the 12th time already this season in game number 20 that the Canucks have given up the first goal.
Brad Lazarevich is over getting tended to by Mike Bernstein.
Canucks with a good record when they give up the first goal, even with the loss last night in LA. And there you go. They were at .600 heading into the game last night, and with the loss of the Kings dropped to 54.5%.
Brad, bandage and ready to go.
Perry from Beauchemin. Here's Archibald. Sharp angle wrist shot, juggled and gloved by Frederik Andersen for a face-off in the Anaheim zone.
One of the things about Corey Perry is you watch him play, and sometimes you don't like his antics, and seems to dive a lot and all that stuff. But boy, if he sniffs a goal, he is in there dirty. He gets down into those dirty areas and plays like a Dale Hunter graduate of the London Knights.
Already up to 11 on the season. This is game 18 for the Ducks. Canucks, incidentally, are the first team in the NHL to the 20-game mark. And with my rudimentary math, I'm calling this unofficially the quarter pole of the season. Just so you know. Daniel Sedin after the puck. Behind the net for Henrik. Henrik puts to the crease. Nobody there to put it home. Standing has a chance. Stopped by the goaltender, I think. Andersen, who lunged out with the left leg in the glove. Ryan Stanton looking for his second. Got his first career in Buffalo against Ryan Miller. A little over 9 minutes into the second period. Kessler with some good work to force the puck off Lovejoy in behind the goal. Daniel Sedin tips it free to Kessler. Into the corner for Henrik, back behind the net. Kessler, sharp angle shot, stopped by the right pad, and a quick whistle as the puck came loose, but there'll be a face-off in the Duck zone.
Good work by Ryan Kessler on Lovejoy. Creates the turnover, and then the Sedins and Ryan Kessler go to work along the boards in behind the net, and it's dug out by Daniel, but the referee has already blown the whistle.
Welsh, Archibald, Dalpe come out. Dalpe after the puck off the drop. Looking for some room. Shot attempt winds up behind the net. Archibald tied up his man to free up the puck for Welsh. Back to Tanev. Wrist shot through traffic. That was blocked by Bonino. Ducks with a chance to move it out. Maroon finds Solani. Moving in on Tanev, who wins that battle of the number 8s for the moment anyway. Solani's still after the puck. Hoping to pick it up in the corner. Comes around to the point. Shot by Spiza is blocked. Dalpe passes to the side. Here comes Archibald. He slides the puck in and heads off on a change. We're past the halfway mark of the second period. Edler up for Burrows. Didn't make contact apparently. That's an icing call against Vancouver.
Not too long into the shift. I don't think John Tortorella is going to waste his timeout yet.
He's been very impressed, and we'll leave last night's game out of the mix, but in heading into last night's game with his team's resilience. And part of that, I think, has to do with that record we saw, 6-4-1 when giving up the first goal. They'll have to try to do it again if they're going to finish this road trip with a winning record. Dustin Penner plays the puck to the far corner. Perry there behind the net for Perreault. Mathieu Perreault to Corey Perry. Try to wrist shot, fan on it. Now it's off the line. Changed direction. Penner tipped it, but it missed the net. Santorelli gets the puck out. Burrows gives chase. Played the other way by the Ducks. Batted back in by Edler. Canucks have to tag up. Here's a long pass to Perreault. Puts one wide of the Canuck net. Big bounce gets past both a Duck and Ryan Stanton. And now it's thrown ahead to Zach Kassian. Bodied by Spiza. The puck's back out to center. Under 9 minutes to go in the second period. Stanton checked. Here's a chance in front. And a great save by Eddie Lack as he denied Ricard Raquel. Another chance. And Edom couldn't put the puck home. Raquel was in alone on Lack, but it's still 1-0 Anaheim. Kassian gloves the puck ahead and whistle blows for the hand pass. We'll take a break. It's 1-0 Anaheim, but it could have been twice that margin after a turnover and a chance for Ricard Raquel eyeball to eyeball with Lack.
Corey Perry has the only goal of this game. The Ducks have really played well at home this year. They've outscored the opposition 33-12 in those 7 games, and you can see the star players piling up the points. Dustin Penner playing with Perry and Getzlaf, and Cam Fowler helping out on the power plays. Got 4 power play points in the last 2 games.
Check out NHL Week Ahead on Sportsnet.ca to read reviews and preview players to watch and games in the coming week, which will feature some home action for the Vancouver Canucks, who've had a road-heavy schedule in the first quarter of the NHL season. Canucks trailing 1-0 despite outshooting the Ducks 12-6 here in the second, 25-11 in the hockey game. Here come the Sedins through center. Pass for Daniel. Stumbled as he skated in on the left wing. Now tries to check Lovejoy. Fowler gives the puck away to Kessler. Finds Henrik. Daniel has room behind the net. Sneaking in on the far side is Stanton. Daniel comes out the near side. Pass back. BX a slap shot wide. Henrik gets the puck behind the net. Henrik Sedin skates to the far corner. Centers Daniel with a shot as he had to reach for the puck and put it wide. Kessler keeps after it. Knocked away from him. BX gambles. It's past him. But past Cogliano as well, who had designs on a 2-on-1 with Smith-Pelly. Canucks back in. Kessler onto the puck on the right wing. Round to Henrik Sedin. In deep for Kessler. Winnick gets there first. Kessler ties him up. Daniel Sedin after the puck hooks it back to Bieksa on the right side. Bieksa down for Henrik. In for Daniel. Missed the puck. And Cam Fowler is onto it for Anaheim, clearing it out to center. Edler there sends it the other way. Long shift here for the Sedins and Kessler. Henrik has to wait. Kessler is slowly going to the bench and trapped inside the zone, and the Canucks go offside anyway.
If you drive on snow and ice, you don't want all-season tires. You want all-weather tires. Get Nokian's most advanced all-weather tire, the WRG3 at Cal Tire.
You talked about the Canucks road-heavy schedule. How about the Ducks just finished an 8-game trip before they had this little 3-game homestand? They lost the first 2 and then had points in the last 6.
They were trying to lament the rigors of a 8-game and 15-day road trip, and we were able to silence them with our tales of 7 games and 11 nights.
Yes.
Leading 1-0 is Anaheim in this one as Santorelli couldn't collect that pass. Anderson leaves behind the goal, and Lindholm passes ahead onto the tape of Bonino. He relays to Solani, who was checked, but Bonino follows up, gets the puck to Maroon, long shot, handled calmly by Eddie Lack, who hangs on for a stoppage.
Patrick Maroon is in because Ryan Getzlaf is out, and all the centermen just moved up a slot, and then Maroon slides in as the fourth line winger, although Bruce Boudreau uses his 4 lines a little more. You look at the players who have had career seasons offensively with Bruce Boudreau as their coach. He's a good coach to teach people how to score.
If people haven't, they should check out his numbers from his career, mostly in the minors.
Junior.
Big numbers for Bruce Boudreau. Did some scoring with the Leafs. Here's Tanev with room to the right point, fakes the shot, passes down. Richardson tried a one-timer off the heel of his stick. Ducks put the puck up the middle and turn it over, but it's off the stick of Sestito and out to center. Cassian plays the puck back in. Richardson in front. Sestito scores! Tom Sestito off the right wing. A perfect pass from Richardson. And the Canucks have tied the game at 1.
And how about the play by Tom Sestito? That pass was in his skates, and he was able to get his stick on it, and you can see a little more ice time, a little more confidence, and the Cassian Richardson Sestito line cashes in. Nice shoot-in. We talked about the shoot-ins. A nice shoot-in here, a little aerial shoot-in that Brad Richardson's able to catch up to, throws it to Tom Sestito, and that puck is almost in his feet, and he's able to get that stick on it and off the post and in. Right in front of his body, he gets turned around so that he can one-time it. No chance for Frederik Andersen.
First of the year for Sestito. His first since that memorable goal in Edmonton last year, which he mimicked Nail Yakupov, and it seemed like it would be a big goal at the time before the Oilers scored about 100 in the next 30 seconds. Tanev, the second assist. I guess he played that soft chip in that Richardson skated onto. And then made the pass in front for the finish from Sestito and the 1-1 goal at 14:09. A little over 5 minutes to go in the second period, and that puck will deflect over the glass behind Frederik Andersen, who has finally been solved by the Canucks. Fans reacting to a behind-the-back catch of the puck there, but he couldn't catch Sestito, who beat him to make it 1-1. For the first time this season, number 29 for the Canucks has produced a winner on Safeway Score and Win. For Safeway and Nabob Coffee, Cheryl Rupke of Victoria won a $250 gift card from Visions Electronics.
Tom Sestito's up to 7:21 in ice time in this game. Now watch him get in position to shoot this puck. Richardson gets to the puck first. Sestito gets his feet and his hands in position so that when that puck comes, he's ready. And one-timed it, didn't have to stop it. Off the post and in.
Alex Burrows comes out for a shift with the Sedins here late in the second period. Everyone's accounted for at the Vancouver bench, so just a little line juggle here as Burrows moves in on the right wing. Drops to Garrison, wrist shot. Ooh, that came through the pile and went wide of the goal. Anderson was looking up as it went along the ice, but it may have been hit by a high stick because that's why they blew play down.
I think Daniel Sedin might have got his stick on it.
Anderson was looking up in the air to find it. It slid by the far post along the ice.
Faceoff comes outside. So
now
here's Ryan Kessler with Mike Santorelli and Chris Higgins.
So Burrows and Kessler switch spots for a shift. They're going to change. I think it was Cassian who played that dumping. That's what as they announced Tanev. It was Cassian who played that little aerial flip that Richardson skated onto. So he correctly earns the second assist on the goal.
So you didn't believe in yourself.
I didn't. I should have said something at the time. It's like multiple choice. First instinct. Vancouver penalty coming up here as Beauchemin was dumped. Delayed call, and now they'll blow it down because the player replacing the netminder jumped onto the ice too soon, I think. Or is it Boschman going off? What's going on here, John? Ducks had the puck rushing up
Yes,
the ice.
halfway up the ice.
So the ref had his arm up. Boschman was down. The Ducks carried the puck all the way up the ice, and he finally decided the Vancouver blue line to blow it down.
Bruce Boudreau.
Frederik Andersen was halfway to the bench, and the Duck player jumped over to replace him, and it was the referee having a bit of a brain cramp and forgetting to blow the whistle.
And it's a high sticking penalty on Francois Beauchemin.
Second power play for the Canucks. Canucks able to tip the puck back to Hanhus, and he sends it in for Henrik Sedin onto the right wing for Daniel. Daniel under pressure, finds Hanhus, slap shot, left pad saved by Anderson. Daniel Sedin again, fans are reacting. Burrows was involved in front. Now Kessler with a drive, and that was blocked by Brian Allen. Pressured by Daniel Sedin, but gets the puck to the side, and it's wristed down the ice by Anaheim. Back for the puck is Dan Hanhus. Up the left wing, Burrows. Slides one to the end boards. Kessler after it for the Canucks. Fake near side, went to the other side, but Lovejoy intercepts, and he gets the puck down.
Eddie Lack had to wait for that puck to get in the trapezoid, just able to get it away.
Daniel Sedin in to the left side, out of the reach of Henrik, but he takes it on the ricochet, finds Kessler. Cassian's come out for Vancouver. He's the new net front presence as he replaces Alex Burrows. Daniel Sedin from behind the goal. Daniel looking in front. Garrison's onto the ice, replacing Hanhus. Canucks still control the puck. Under a minute to go in their power play. Ryan Kessler wrist shot and a right pad save by Anderson. Ducks get to the puck and clear it out, and now the Canucks will get the full second unit out there with 40 seconds to go in the man advantage. A little over 2.5 minutes left in the second, a 1-1 tie. Garrison up the left wing. Higgins fighting the puck a bit, knocked away by Allen. Higgins engages him, and the Canucks hold it in. Kevin Bieksa moves to the middle, passes over to Higgins. He takes a look, wrist shot blocked. Higgins chops the puck to Garrison, who gloves it down. Finds Kevin Bieksa, 15 seconds to go in the Vancouver power play. Santorelli back to Bieksa. Over to Mike Santorelli again. He attacks, finds Cassian at the side of the goal. Zach Cassian tried to slide it back to Bieksa. That's intercepted, and here come the Ducks short-handed. Now they're back to full strength as Winnick moves in on the right wing. Centers the puck, and Fowler couldn't reach it. It was steered away by Lack. Fowler will move in again. Cam Fowler in front. Bonino stopped by Lack, who looks down to find the puck, and it's underneath his pads.
Doesn't Cam Fowler remind you of Drew Doughty, who you saw last night? Here's Fowler right down the middle. And there's Eddie Lack making the save.
Canucks 2 shots on their power play, which ended with the Ducks pressuring, but they have 7 power play shots in their 2 attempts. John Tortorella will like that, but he won't like the 0 for 2.
Best chance was that Ryan Kessler wrist shot. Good save by Frederik Andersen.
Brad Richardson gets the puck out for Alex Burrows. Tanev on the near side wants the pass. He's got it. Tanev tried to send it in front. Richardson was there. Sestito forces the puck to the corner. Boy, Edler trailing there, really wanted that pass from Tanev, who tried to throw it in front, and it was blocked. Then again, the coach might not have liked to drop pass at that point. 2 defensemen if they turned it over. Here's Spiza and Penner back in front, blocked by Alex Edler. Penner gets the puck once more, tried to throw it in front, went off his skate, deflects to the near side, held in there by Spiza. He throws one through the crease and out the other side. Beauchemin hustles to the puck. And Tanev will intercept with time and space. Couldn't get it out. Burrows will help out. He flips the puck down into Anaheim territory as we move into the final minute of the second period. Lead pass to Corey Perry. Slides one through, and it's centered. What a goal for Nick Bonino. Emerson Edom had everybody thinking he was going to shoot. And the pass came across to Bonino, makes it 2-1.
The Canucks were in the middle of a change, and the Ducks make the good pass. Here's the Canucks. You can see them going off in your screen, up to Corey Perry, and now it's everybody trying to play catch-up. And what a pass that was. The poor goaltender has no chance on this one. The Canucks, you can see them all scrambling off the bench, and now it's a 2-1 down low, and Dan Hamhuis gambles and loses. And no chance for Eddie Lack once that pass goes across.
Huge goal for the Ducks, you'd have to think, in the final minute of the second period. Bonino's 5th. And the Ducks retake the lead. And unless the Canucks produce something in the next 30 seconds, they'll be trying to play catch-up in period number 3. Pass for Daniel Sedin picked off, and here comes Andrew Cogliano. Fowler the trailer, but Cogliano tried a shot that was gloved by Eddie Lack, and he hangs on with just under 18 seconds to go in the second.
Boy, when you decide to make that change and the other team has complete control of the puck, it's tough. It's tough for those guys climbing over the boards to get back into the play. And the Ducks had complete control just inside their own blue line. Make that one long pass to Corey Perry, and then it's a 3-on-2 with everybody scrambling down low and turned into a 2-on-1.
Ducks trying to apply some more late pressure. Perry, sharp angle shot, deflects back towards Beauchemin. He throws one on goal. That's tipped wide off an Anaheim stick. Puck played to the corner. Edler gets it ahead, and Santorelli will get it out, and that'll do it for period 2. Henner tried a long shot on the horn, but there's the hero of the moment, Nick Bonino, after Tom Sestito had tied it for Vancouver following the opening goal of the night from Corey Perry. We're going to hear from Francois Beauchemin in our second intermission. He'll be in conversation with Murph. But a familiar situation for the Canucks here, Don. They've done it a couple of times this year. They'll try to come from behind when trailing through 2 as they're down 2-1.
Welcome back to Anaheim, Honda Center. Final stop on the Canucks 4-game road trip. Let's take a look at the scoring summary brought to you by Panago. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Perry, with his team leading 11th, opened the scoring. Tom Sestito's first of the season tied it, but a last-minute goal in that period from Nick Bonino has given the home team their 1-goal lead back.
You wonder if there's fatigue in the game when your team mental mistakes. The Canucks mental mistake. There's a mental mistake up the middle, and it turns out Eddie Lack has to make a save on Corey Perry in tight. Ryan Stanton tries one across, and he should have gone up the boards. Turnover, a nice save by Eddie Lack again. And here's Cam Fowler, a turnover, and that creates a great scoring chance in tight. Eddie Lack again making that save. Just the little things, and get back to that line change in the last minute of the period. That's something that mentally you just shouldn't do, but you're tired. I'm close enough. So it's not deep, but I'm close enough. And then you make that change, and it's in your net.
That said, John Tortorella's team probably feeling that it deserves a better fate than it faces right now, outshooting Anaheim 29-16, but trailing 2-1 as we go to the third period. Burrows stays with the Sedins to start period 3. He finished there late in the second.
Well, it's Chris Higgins on this side.
Oh, pardon me. The Twins are split up. I thought it was 20. I assumed it was 22. It's 20. Pardon me. So it's Henrik, Higgins, and Burrows. We've seen Henrik, Higgins, and Kessler most often when he did it early in the year, but Twins apart here to begin period number 3.
And the icing, but only 15 seconds in, so it's a fresh line.
Puck slides towards Lack off the draw. Oh, Tanev put it over the glass, and here's some early adversity for the Canucks. I don't know if the puck went on end, but it's a delay of game penalty to Chris Tanev, and only the 8th minor penalty of his NHL career.
And you can see John Tortorella's, and this is the mental part. Again, you win the face-off, lots of time. He could have given it to Alex Burrows, and you can see Alex is shaking his head right away too, and Chris Tanev off for a delay of game.
Ducks managed just one shot on their first power play. They're 0 for 1. And they'll test the Canucks' very adept penalty-killing unit once more. Fowler's open in front if they can come up with a puck. But the Ducks can't as the Canucks overload. Richardson took a stab at it. Now Bieksa from behind the net able to get the puck down the ice. That stat about Tanev is quite amazing. This is 112th regular season game, plus 10 playoff games, 8 minor penalties. Here's a steal by Kessler, shorthanded. He tries to move in with Higgins, and that rush is broken up.
And again, it was Cam Fowler back doing a nice job.
Fowler starts out with the puck. Onto the right side, Palmieri is in. Hughes knocked the puck away, but Palmieri keeps after it. Hit the referee, but puck escapes the zone anyway, after it looked like the Ducks were going to have a chance to hold it in, rather than have Daniel Sedin intercept. Under a minute to go on the penalty to Tanev. Beauchemin, pardon me, it's Perreault trying a pass for Palmieri that's broken up, and the Canucks clear the zone once more. Intercepting is Santorelli, and he sends the Ducks back again with 30 seconds to go on the minor penalty to Vancouver. Perreault deep in his own zone. Leaves the puck for Beauchemin. He starts up. Finds Lindholm. It was Lindholm's pass that started the rush on the go-ahead goal by Bonino. But he doesn't get an assist because Perry and Edom touched it in between. But the 19-year-old, huge part in the Ducks having a 2-1 lead. Still no shots on this power play, which now comes to an end. Smith Pelly moves in, throws one across, and the pass was behind Cogliano going to the net. So the Ducks 0 for 2 on the power play. And it's still 2-1 Anaheim, as the Canucks make it 23 successful kills in a row. Smith Pelly chips the puck forward. Daniel Winnick is after it. Battling Garrison. Anaheim player taken down. Cogliano. Play goes on, and then Hughes got rocked by Smith Pelly. But he made the play, and the Canucks break out. Burrows with a slap shot. Whistled over top of the net. Daniel Sedin for Henrik Sedin. In for Burrows, who missed the puck. Winnick goes back for it. Burrows chases after him. Held into the left point by Daniel Sedin, but forced out by Devontae Smith-Pelly. Played back in on the goaltender, who clears the puck himself. Tanev scrambling back onto the bench, as that puck went by his skates, and could have been too many men on the ice.
I was watching Anderson during warm-up, and he's strong on the puck, and we saw that last clearing play. Get a little more confident. He could be a puck handler.
Welsh tips the puck in. There's Anderson again, throwing one to center. Palmieri following up is Raquel. Ricard Raquel puts one behind the goal. Edom picks up the puck. In for Raquel. Palmieri's in front, as Raquel elects to play the puck to the other side. Palmieri hustles to it there. Taken down by Welsh, who works the puck to Stanton. He chips it ahead, and Dalpe gets it out. Canucks starting to change as Lovejoy starts the other way with a pass to Edom. Wrist shot well wide. Puck deflects to the far side. Winnick beats a couple of Canucks. Drops for a long shot from the line. Loose puck. Smith-Pelly couldn't get a good shot away. And Stanton clears the puck around for Daniel Sedin. Out there with Santorelli and Kessler. See what they can do. Daniel in on the left wing. Cuts wide. Centers the puck. Santorelli tipped it just off the target. Kessler steals the puck back. Finds Garrison. Jason Garrison wrists one that missed the net. Edler moves down from the left point into the corner. Santorelli hit there by Smith-Pelly, who's on a long shift here for Anaheim. Edler down at the hash marks, works the puck free to Santorelli. Garrison broke his stick as he tried a one-timer. Ducks will work to get the puck out, but Santorelli intercepts. Trying to center, blocked by Beauchemin. Daniel Sedin feeds Hughes to replace Garrison. Hughes checked. Winnick into the middle. Chance for Cogliano at the end of a shift. And Edler able to catch up, drag him down, no penalty. And Honda Center in a bit of an uproar. Kessler shovels one forward. Daniel Sedin was heading off, didn't see the puck coming. A little scrambling in the neutral zone. Penner moves in, trying to go through to the fence. Penner stopped by Lack, and then Hamhuis crashed into the goal. Net dislodged for a whistle in the Vancouver zone.
Now, Andrew Cogliano, as you said, was at the end of his shift. Dan Hamhuis gets trapped up. He's at the end of his shift. He doesn't have the legs to get by Alex Edler, and I don't know about that one. No call. Eddie Lack again, as Dustin Penner gets the chance, goes around Alex Edler. Dustin Penner has really played well when he's been playing with Perry and Getzlaf, a guy that every year seems to be taking a little longer than the 21-day training camp to get ready for the season. He needs the old school 6-weeker.
Yeah. Must be able to do, what was the MY letter? 20
Yes,
push-ups or something?
20 push-ups.
Ducks win a face-off. Beauchemin. Perry didn't see that one coming. Garrison collects the puck behind the goal. Reverses for Henrik Sedin, who's out there again with Higgins and Burrows. Dangerous pass, but it got through to Tanev, who drives the puck into Anaheim territory. We're nearing the 6-minute mark of the third period. Anaheim leading 2-1 in the finale of this 4-game road trip for Vancouver. Garrison holds the puck in. Henrik Sedin couldn't make contact as he tried to tip the puck on goal. Now Tanev with a pass ahead, intercepted by Beauchemin, who finds Lindholm. Canucks take possession of their own blue line. Burrows will head to the bench after tipping the puck into the Anaheim end. Tom Sestito's onto the ice. But the Ducks work the puck out to center. Ryan Stanton will shoot it right back in. Maroon, bodied by Cassian. Richardson comes up with the puck, turning at the right point. Back to Bieksa, long shot blocked, loose puck in front. Cleared to Teemu Selanne. He flips one ahead. And Bonino's in with a wrist shot attempt, blocked by Kevin Bieksa. Ducks hold the puck in. Selanne has it on the left wing. To the right point, Brian Allen. Slap shot, glove saved by Lack. Shot was probably heading wide, but it was moving.
Hey, Canucks fans, don't miss your chance to own a piece of Vancouver sports history. The Rocket Goes to the Rafters is a limited lithograph, 510 pieces each signed by the man himself. Purchase this lithograph at www.thefanzoo.com.
All right, lots of fans. Remembrance Day is tomorrow, John. 11th hour. At least we do pay our respects to those who sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice so we can do this.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a pretty good life. Alex Burrows. Sharp angle backhander, deflects to Edler. He drives onto the side of the goal. Burrows was there. Edler broke his stick on that shot. He'll need a super blade. Here's Burrows. Higgins with a sharp angle chest, and Anderson holds it out, covers the puck.
Well, Jason Garrison broke a stick early in this third period, and it's Alex Edler's turn. Alex Burrows trying to find that rebound. I like the fact that Chris Higgins, when he shoots now, it's always the goalie has to make the save. Always a chance for a rebound, doesn't miss the net. Jason Garrison and the Canucks trying to stage another comeback. Shots are now 32-17. Last 4 home games, the Ducks have had 147 shots, 4. They've only had 17 in this game.
Very similar to the San Jose scenario where the Sharks had put up 100 in the previous 2, and Canucks really limited them in that game. Zach Delpy gets the puck ahead to Jeremy Welsh. He's hit in front of the Anaheim bench and heads off for Vancouver. I think Welsh is okay as he went awkwardly into the boards. Edom at the end of his shift wrists the puck in. Eddie Lack to Kevin Bieksa. And ahead to Ryan Kessler. Saw Beauchemin coming and braced himself. We'll take a check-in with Murph on the whistle for icing.
John, shop and swipe your club card at Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of redtag.ca.
The players wear such good equipment now, but your ribs are still something that your ribs and the sides, your hip. There's Jeremy Welsh into the boards, into the dasher almost.
Here's Beauchemin with a long shot, blocked in front by Bieksa. Ducks digging for the puck. Santarelli finds it. Passes to Edler. And he dumps the puck for what will be another icing as Beauchemin gets there ahead of Daniel Sedin. Still lots of time left. We're 8.5 into the third. Canucks trailing 2-1. Looking to win a game when trailing after 2 for the third time this season.
Kevin Bieksa, the old change the stick play on the icing. Taking his time coming back.
Uses that new stick to advance the puck up the boards. Daniel Sedin trying to move it out. Kessler does. Tips it ahead just out of the reach of Santarelli, who was trying to move in on the rookie Lindholm. Lindholm couldn't clear past Kessler, but he gets the puck back and throws it over to Beauchemin. Here's a chance for Perreault, and a glove save by Eddie Lack as Perreault just kept skating forward, found more and more room, and Lack had to flash the left hand.
Oh, he got a lucky break as he tried to shoot it in. It was off his stick, came right back to him. So he's got the shot, and Eddie Lack followed it all the way and found the puck beside Kevin Bieksa.
Sportsnet 360, where you'll find NBA basketball Tuesday, the Bucks and the Heat at 4:30 Pacific, followed by New Orleans and the Lakers from Staples Center. That one tips off at 7:30 on Sportsnet 360. 9 minutes into the third in this one. Ducks leading 2-1. Loose puck in front of the Vancouver goal. And a backhander through traffic from Maroon didn't get through. Kassian dumps the puck the other way from center. Sestito after Allen, who couldn't get it by Kassian behind the goal. Here's Sestito. Puck comes back to Stanton. Ryan Stanton to the other side. Garrison with a blast. He missed the net. Stanton keeps after the puck. Takes the man, loses his stick, and here come the Ducks to center. Bonino with a lead pass. Solani couldn't take it cleanly. He pokes the puck behind the back of roll. Sestito missed it. It's centered and unable to get a shot away. It was Maroon. Kassian gets the loose puck, and he'll carry it to center on the left wing. Tips it forward, gets around Allen, but there for the puck is Teemu Selanne. Spiza having a little trouble. Higgins held the puck in. Now Maroon comes back to help out, and he'll skate it to center. Dump it in from his own side, but it's right on Eddie Lack, who has to play the puck. Kassian, helmet askew, can't get off the ice as Cogliano rips a shot wide of the goal. Puck comes to the right point to Lovejoy. Left point, Fowler fan. And Kassian able to force the puck out. Here comes Henrik Sedin in over the Anaheim line. Henrik throws on the brakes, sends one across. Higgins on the left wing, back to Tanev, fakes the shot. Trying to find a lane. Tanev onto the right side to Henrik Sedin. In front for Higgins, takes it off his skate. Can't get the shot through. Here's Tanev again, playing one around. Burrows after the puck. Alex Burrows back to Hamhuis. Lets it go and blocked in front. I think Winnick got in front of that one. Ducks clear, held in by Hamhuis, but now the puck forced out to center. Ducks are offside. Anaheim might be down a body at its bench. We'll check on that during the break with over 9 minutes to go in the third, and Anaheim still leading 2-1.
This week on Canucks TV, find out how Brad Richardson is fitting in as a Canuck. Hunter Shinkaruk talks about Bantam hockey in Calgary, and the Canucks share their biggest fears. Tonight, 8 o'clock, Sportsnet Pacific.
Well, we were looking at the Anaheim bench. It looks like they've got the full complement back. Corey Perry was down where the spare goalie usually sits.
But he's on the ice now as Edler drives the puck in from center. Lindholm That one got by Beauchemin. Puck is center. Kessler couldn't get his stick on it after Santorelli threw it in front. Beauchemin checks Daniel Sedin, but can't get the puck by Kessler. Daniel missed it behind the goal. He hustles after the puck on the near side. Lindholm checks it, throws it up the middle. And Penner makes a pass to Perry. Perry down the right side. Delays. Throws one across for Penner. Bounced off his stick. Now Perry collects the puck. Comes up front. And the puck rolled off the end of his stick as he tried to sweep it on goal. Now it comes out. Brought back in offside by Beauchemin.
Francois Beauchemin's the high minute man for this Anaheim team. Came back from major surgery relatively early, playing with Lindholm.
Henrik Sedin, Chris Higgins, Alex Burrows come back out for this face-off outside the Vancouver blue line. Lovejoy gets the puck off the draw, sends it to the far corner. Henrik Sedin starts out. Ahead for Higgins. He backhands the puck in behind the Ducks goal. Anderson lets it go for Lovejoy. Stanton moves down from the left point. Burrows tries to throw one in front. That's taken away by Winnick. He'll dump it to the other side. Bieksa hustles there on Cogliano. Bieksa, nice move of the blue line. Round for Henrik Sedin. Centering pass. Burrows is stopped by Anderson. They got the chance they wanted. And now the Ducks might get one themselves. Cogliano moving in. Smith-Pelly going to the net. Pass comes to Winnick. He shoots and he missed the net by a mile. Anderson with a sharp stop off Burrows moments ago. Could that be a game saver?
That was a good job by Ryan Stanton coming back, recognizing which man to pick up.
Cassian making moves at center. Allen stood up to check him, but it was the Duck defenseman who went down. Spiza under pressure. And the puck cleared out. Goes off Tanev, out of play, and back onto the ice. So the whistle blows.
Kevin Bieksa, planned play, just fired it around to Henrik Sedin behind the net. The backhand pass to Alex Burrows, and he's just unable to elevate that puck up and over the pad. Frederik Andersen's a big goalie. Real classic butterfly style for a 6'4", 230-pound guy. Gets down, takes up a lot of the net.
Burrows hasn't played with the Sedins a ton this season, but he still knows where to go. Like a spawning salmon jump.
Yes. The Home Depot parking lot?
Yeah, East Bend. Yes. Sestito throws a hard hit on Edom in front of the Vancouver bench. Now after the puck inside his own blue line, Sestito can't get it past Allen. Hughes avoids the check from Edom. Allen drives the puck back in. Ducks will tag up as both teams change. With 6:40 to go in the third. Pass ahead for Daniel Sedin, and that's off the stick of Beauchemin over the glass for a whistle. Murph.
Well, he was the greatest goalie of his generation, and now he's trying to rebuild a hockey powerhouse in Colorado. Patrick Roy has always struggled to contain his fiery temper. This week in Sportsnet magazine, Gear Joyce talks to friends, teammates, and rivals to explain the boiling anger that drives Patrick Roy to win.
Well, Tom Sestito's played a lot more in this game, and that's one of the things when you're playing a lot, 10 minutes, hits Edom, and you don't get called for that hit. And last night in Los Angeles, every time he touched somebody, he was going to the penalty box. Different situation, 5-1 game. Obviously, the referees trying to keep the game under control.
Daniel Sedin, that one off his arm, so they'll call it a hand pass to Kessler. As Daniel reached out, he's saying it shouldn't be a hand pass because it hit my wrist.
Well, that was Don Van Massenhoven making the call from center ice, and I think it's a good call because Daniel did wave his arm. It was almost a self-defense play, but we haven't called Don's name very much in this game. And you can see the up goes the arm, and it's off Daniel, so it wasn't just tight to the body and off his body back the other way.
Daniel can't get to that puck off the draw. Beauchemin finds Hampus Lindholm. Daniel blocks that pass. Leaves the puck for Kessler, who rushes in with a wrist shot off the arm of the goaltender. Rebound! Unable to put that one on net was Alex Edler. I think the reason Daniel deferred to Kessler in the neutral zone is because he had a broken stick. But now he's got a new one, and Daniel tries a shot that goes wide. Kessler gets the puck behind the goal. Santorelli on the left side for Daniel Sedin. couldn't get the puck in deep as he tried to find Kessler behind the goal. And the Ducks come out with it. Matthew Perreault quickly to the Vancouver blue line. Dishes off. Penner, wrist shot, swallowed up by Eddie Lack. And he may face more chances like that as the Canucks continue to press, but Lack made the save, and it's still a one-goal game. Let's check out the game summary brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Well, Frederik Andersen's made 33 saves. He's been very good. Tom Sestito with his first of the season. And Corey Perry, who has been the best Anaheim Duck forward, in about 2 inches away from the crease, scoring his goal.
Setting it up with a header of all things. We've seen the Sedins do that. Flicking the puck on in the neutral zone to keep rushes alive. Here the Ducks moving in. Cogliano in front. And Winnick couldn't quite reach that one as he tried to redirect it. Lack steered the puck to the corner. Winnick tied up by Bieksa. Santorelli gets the puck to Henrik Sedin. Henrik on the forehand makes a pass to Chris Higgins, who gently plays the puck in, and Stanton will chase in after it on Cam Fowler. Stanton keeps coming. Not sure Fowler was expecting that. And he'll retreat now as the puck comes to the right point. Bieksa fakes the shot. Passes to Henrik Sedin. Henrik in front for Bieksa. Shot it wide. He gets a chance to pick up the puck again, but it's picked up by Smith-Pelly who gets it out. Under 5 minutes remaining. Higgins chases in on that one. He's got Lovejoy lined up. Hits in along the boards, but Devontae Smith-Pelly gets the puck out. Played forward by Edom, who stood up by Hamhuis. And Tanev circles his net. Passes to Burrows, who finds Henrik Sedin on the near side. Edom intercepts that. Brian Allen intercepts that, and Edom moves in on the left wing. Here's a rebound chance for Solani, who is tied up by Dan Hamhuis. An alert defensive play there. Henrik Sedin chips the puck forward. He and Daniel on the ice at the same time for the moment. Daniel trying to move in. Henrik headed to the bench now as he's replaced by Santorelli. Spiza up the far boards. Puck held in. Garrison slid it wide of the goal. Solani pressured by Edler, but gets the puck ahead, and it's tipped out by the Ducks. Santorelli takes control with under 4 minutes remaining. Alex Edler ahead to Ryan Kessler. Tried to leave for Daniel Sedin. That was read well by the Duck. Now shot by Santorelli, and he whistled it high after Perreault had initially broken up the play. Puck came to Santorelli, and he missed the net. Edler ahead to Kessler. Pass for Daniel Sedin, who turns to get the puck. He's checked, however, and it's back out to neutral ice. Picked up by Dustin Penner. Penner in. And we got an offside call against the Ducks with 3:24 to go. Canucks trying to make a game of it, make Don Taylor's life interesting. He's here with an update of what's to come.
All right, thanks so much. A reminder, Gary Volk and I will have a full post-game show after the Canucks and Ducks. We might sneak in some BC Lions highlights as well. Back to the Honda Center.
Tough day for the Lions in Regina.
Not used to playing in that kind of weather.
Canucks trying to give the Vancouver sports fans something positive to discuss, but they're going to need a hero to emerge here with just over 3 minutes remaining in the game. The Ducks leading 2-1. Kevin Bieksa drives a long one in off the glove of Anderson and into the corner. Bieksa holds the line, chips the puck over to Sestito. He tried to center, puck comes back to him. Bieksa tips it to the near side. Kevin Bieksa in deep. Richardson back to Hamhuis with room. Hamhuis doesn't shoot it. Now wrists one wide of the net. Puck loose at the side. Cassian trying to poke it in front. It's centered by Sestito, and no Canuck there to get a stick on it. Puck cleared out. Hamhuis quickly ahead to Bieksa, and he tips the puck back in. Richardson pressures. Ducks get it around to Lovejoy, who sends it off the glass, held in by Alex Edler. Edler with a wrist shot blocked. Richardson after the puck on the near side. Ducks work it free to Smith-Pelly. Gets it by Bieksa and out to center. Edler over to break that up, but Smith-Pelly follows on. Centering pass. Cogliano. Poke check by Eddie Lack. 2 minutes to go. Bonino killing time, chipping the puck back to center, and Lovejoy rips it in deep. Lack couldn't stop it behind the goal. Bieksa's still out there. Gets the puck to Alex Edler. Or did he just come back out for another shift?
They're
He's been
still
out
out
there a
there.
lot.
They're still out there.
Here's Perry on the right wing. Perry with a wrist shot, and Eddie Lack will give his team a breather with 1:44 to go.
Well, last stoppage in play, Henrik Sedin directing traffic. You're down by a goal. You want your best offensive player to do exactly this, and you can see Henrik Sedin telling Kevin Bieksa, and then what happens? Give and go. Henrik Sedin, the back pass to Kevin Bieksa, and a good scoring chance, and that's what you want out of one of your leaders.
Ducks win the face-off in the Vancouver zone. Puck played behind the net. Henrik Sedin comes back to tip it free for Jason Garrison. Minute and a half remaining. And Eddie Lack's getting the signal from John Tortorella, but now he'll scramble back as the Ducks intercept. Perry moves in on the left wing. Corey Perry. He'll probably just try to keep the puck deep here. Not going to pass back to the blue line. Canucks knock it away from him. Burrow starts out and Lack heads to the bench. Extra attacker for Vancouver with 1:12 to go. Anderson clears the puck around. It deflects towards Kessler, who puts it in front. Ducks take it away. Here comes Bonino. Finds Fowler, who just tips the puck over the Vancouver line. Garrison chips it ahead for Hamhuis. Final minute of the third period. 2-1 Anaheim. Canucks with the net empty. Anderson out of his goal. Slides the puck to the side. Fowler fakes one way, now tips it up the other, and it's played out by Corey Perry. Hamhuis goes back for the puck. 40 seconds to go. Hamhuis drops for Henrik Sedin. He's checked at the line. Cogliano chases after the puck. Empty net. Hit the side. Canucks still alive, but they've got under 30 seconds to work with. And they're having trouble getting out of their own zone. Another chance for the Ducks. Cogliano scores! That'll be game, set, and match. It'll be a losing road trip for the Canucks as they fall behind 3-1 here in Anaheim.
Well, Ryan Kessler, who had to chase down Cogliano on the original chance, has nothing left in. Hamhuis and Henrik Sedin can't get it out. And Cogliano just fires it at Kevin Bieksa. Ryan Kessler both there but not there as they were going on the offensive side of the puck.
That's goals in 3 straight games for Andrew Cogliano. This one against an unguarded net. And the Canucks will suffer consecutive regulation losses to end the road trip. They'd only had 2 in their previous 12 games. Doing a good job of collecting points, even in their non-winning moments. Now another late chance and a blocked shot with 4.2 seconds remaining. But it'll be another regulation defeat, second in a row for Vancouver, the 4th in the last 14 games.
Well, a game where the shots are 36-23 in favor of the Canucks. And John, you talked about their power play, and they had a couple of chances in the second period.
They generated 7 shots of the man advantage, John. But it's been a refrain we've heard before as this one comes to an end. And the Canucks go 0 for 2 in Southern California. Nick Bonino winds up with the winning goal, and the Ducks take it 3-1.
And giving up that goal in the last minute of a period, it's just, especially on the road. You played a good road game. Even going into the third period, you'll take your chances. But that goal at the last minute of the second period was a real killer.